Good morning, sixth graders. Today your skill is knowing commonly used fractions, halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, eighths, and tenths, and being able to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. You will be able to get a lot of information from the two videos that I have for you to watch, but I also wanted to just work through a few problems with you before you get started on your work. So the first one is if you have a fraction like 1/2, there are two different ways that you can put it into decimal form and also percent form. If you can convert it to 10 or 100 as the denominator, then what you will do is just make an equivalent fraction. So remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top, or whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So we look at the relationship between 2 and 10, and we know that 2 times 5 is 10. So we have to do the same thing to the top. So 1 times 5 is 5. Now we could have also made this equivalent to 100. So that would be times 50 times 50. So 5 tenths, 50 hundredths, and 1/2 are all the same thing. But when you write something as a decimal, you have to put it in tenths or hundredths. So 5 tenths looks like this. 50 hundredths looks like this. And of course, you can also show that there is not a whole number. The whole number is 0. So that is one way that you can determine the decimal. If you have 3/5, make that equivalent to 10 or 100. So we already determined 5 times 2 is 10. So 3 times 2 would be 6. 6 tenths would be written like this. Now let's talk about percentages for a minute. Percentages are always out of 100. So 6 tenths is the same thing as 60 hundredths. 60 hundredths looks like this or like that. And a percentage is just how many out of 100. So 60 out of 100 would be 60%. So here you have the fraction, you have the decimal, and you have the percent. Okay, now we need to know what to do if you have a fraction that is not equivalent to a tenth or a hundredth. So let's say we have 2/6. Well, if 6 can't go into 100 evenly without having a decimal left over, then we have to remember that 2 out of 6, that this is actually a division sign as well. So we can figure it out by going 2 divided by 6. So 2 divided by 6. Now remember, 2 also is 2 with a decimal point after the 2. So 6 can't go into 2, but I can add as many zeros as I need to. So move the decimal straight up. 3 times 6 is 18. Subtract 2. Add another 0. Bring it down. 6 goes into 20 once again, 3 times. Now, because we keep having 2 left over, we know that that is going to repeat. So the answer is actually going to be decimal point 3333333, on and on and on. It's repeating. So we're just going to round it. So if we had another 3 out here, that would become 30 decimal point 33, which is 33 hundredths. That's 33 hundredths. So that is 33 hundredths. So that is 33%. Okay, a couple more things to show you. That's the great thing about videos too, is you can watch it over and over again if you need to. Okay, if we have 4 3/4. So now we have a whole number in front of it, obviously, this is called a mixed number. So 4 is the whole number. And then 3/4, hopefully you already know that. That's a common one that we should memorize. And that is decimal point 75. So 3/4 is decimal point 75, like 3/4 is 75 cents. But if you did not know that, 3/4 make it out of 100. 4 times 25 is 100. So 3 times 25 is 75. So 4 75/100. Okay, now one last thing to show you is ratio. If they throw in a ratio at you, remember a ratio is just a fraction. So 2 to 5 is the same thing as 2 to 5. Four tenths. 4/10 is the same thing as 40/100. And 40/100 is 40%. Okay, remember, if you have any questions at all today, please inbox me in Canvas and I will answer your questions as soon as I can. Have a great day.